Sometimes our designs don't sell because of niche ideas, trend ideas, but sometimes our designs are just not very good. So in this video, I'm going to walk through exactly why you're not making sales related to crappy designs. Let's jump in. All right, I've been getting a lot of requests for a video like this. Basically, people want to know how they can make their designs better. So the first thing I want to do is jump in to some reasons why your designs don't sell big picture. And the first reason is that your niche that you're using is low demand. So I have an example of this. So I'm always encouraging people to sell into niches that are evergreen. They've got some, demand, but how do you know, right? So here's just an example of one. This is on Redbubble, and I've typed in the phrase plumber, Nebraska, and only 3 results come up. So you might think, wow, that's amazing. There's lots of opportunities here because I could put 100 designs. Well, stop right there. Chances are, how many plumbers in Nebraska want to buy a shirt, a coffee mug, a hat? I don't know. Maybe there's a few, but probably not a lot. So this is one of these things that if you were to pump a bunch of designs into this niche, you're still not going to make a lot of sales, no matter how good the designs are. The second reason is that the niche itself has really high competition. So an example that I like to use is New York. I type into Redbubble New York and I get back over 281,000 results. Now, if you're on the first page of that, wonderful. Chances are good you're probably going to make a sale. But ask yourself this, when you've Googled something, best restaurant in town, do you ever go to like page 7? Like chances aren't you don't. So it's the same thing with Redbubble. Even though we tell ourselves, oh, I'm on page 35, someone's going to find me. Chances are they're not. The third reason is that the niche was trendy, and so it might have been a seller at one point, but it's not anymore. You can find this pretty easily on Redbubble simply by typing in something like a date-specific term. So for example, here I've got on Redbubble, Happy New Year 2018. Well, those are probably not going to be big sellers now. At the time of this recording, it's 2021. So sorry, but Hello 2018 is probably not going to be a big seller anymore, even if it's on the first page. Okay, and the last reason that designs don't sell is that your design simply isn't good enough. And I want to point out, this is a hot topic because people are, different languages, different cultures, different values. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings here, but this is the reason that I'm going to be drilling down on in this video. And yes, I do have real life examples, and I know full well this could be a hot button topic with people. Some people could get offended. So I just want to throw out the quick disclaimer. I'm a nice person. I'm just trying to help people make sales. I'm certainly not trying to be a bully or a meanie or, a horrible human being telling people that they're no good. I've made crappy designs too. So, we've all done it. So if you want to get better, we have to take a good hard look at ways we can improve those designs. Now, the first one that I want to check out here is stickers, because stickers represent on Redbubble one of the best selling designs type of, products. There's t-shirts, there's coffee mugs. Well, stickers is typically what you're going to sell the most of, at least in quantity on Redbubble. So here's just an example. If you look through on Redbubble, you're going to find stickers that often look like this. There's no way anyone on earth is going to buy this sticker. Now this says, do you want to marry my mom, something, something. But the point is there's nothing there. So you've really got to be careful when you're uploading a design that's light colored, that you don't have it just defaulting. What you'd want to do is probably create a second design, and that would be a JPEG. So your first design would be a PNG file. That would be for your t-shirts, your coffee mugs, all your other products. But then for a sticker, you'd upload a JPEG, and you would probably invert the font, or you'd create a JPEG with a black background. You'd do something so that you don't get this sort of horrible, just white gobbledygook on here. You see this all the time too. Here's another example. So on the top right, you'll see the word KISS, K-I-S-S, KISS sticker. And then down here on the next one, just right there, is just all white. So they've obviously uploaded a black font and then a white font, thinking, hey, this is great. But no one's ever going to buy this sticker. Or if they do, they're most certainly going to return it if it ever comes home. You're going to see this all the time. Here's something that's probably a keep calm and drink coffee. That's what I searched for here. So you see all these great, keep calm and drink coffee. Well, this one is just it's a nothing. It's not going to get sold at all. So again, I don't say any of this to be mean, but it's just, you'll want to run through your designs and you'll want to double check, because if you have this, you literally have zero chance of ever making a sale. The next thing we can cover here is having a white shirt with very light text. Now on Redbubble, there is no way to eliminate the idea of having a white shirt. So here's an example of a shirt and it says, "Do I regret it? Yes. Would I do it again? Probably." And then it's a quote by some guy. So this is just a light, almost like a light yellow text on a white shirt. Now down here, it says 16 colors. What you'd want to do when you're in Redbubble is set the default color for your t-shirt. And so that means, chances are when you pull up a t-shirt, it'll show you a black or a brown or a red, some sort of dark color for your shirt. You can't eliminate this, but you can certainly lower the odds of this happening. Similarly, here we have a dark text on a black or a very dark shirt. So the actual design here on the lower left is what? It's a cat, it's got a knife. It's a pretty popular design, but it's on a black shirt. So this looks terrible because we've got this dark brown cat, and I mean, realistically, no one is going to buy this, right? So again, this is art. So I do want to point out, like, if somebody's watching this and they're going, "Well, hold on, I've sold 4 copies. Great, then keep it up." But if you've sold 0 copies of something and you're wondering why, you go, "Man, my design's really solid." Well, double check it, because maybe it's not. Here's an example of what you should be doing on a dark t-shirt. So here we've got black font, boo, and then we've got a black shirt. So what you do is you create a little border around it, and then now that white is going to stay regardless of what type of shirt they buy. Red shirt, blue shirt, yellow shirt, doesn't matter. They've basically jury-rigged the system here now to say you've now got a black text on any shirt, and it will look great. Here's another example. So this is a black cat. This is something that people are doing right. So this is a black cat on a black shirt, but it's not really a black cat on a black shirt. It's a nothing cat. It's background. Notice the eyes are actually black. Everything else is just the color of the shirt. So if they buy a red shirt, if they buy a white shirt, it would all be the color of the cat. So they've removed the black and they've just created basically a retro sunset and some eyeballs. That's it. It's the absence of a color that makes what the cat looks like. Happens to be a black shirt, and that's why it's a black cat. The next thing here is having a light and dark text in the same design. This can be really, really challenging because nobody knows. Do you buy a white shirt? Do you buy a black shirt? What color shirt are you going to buy? So here's an example of a really good design. And if you're not selling, it might be because of the font color only. So here the design says, "I am not single." It's got a little pause, which I love, a little pause next to the word single here. And then it says, "I have a dog," but instead of dog, it's a dog's face. Love this design. So again, I want to point out, I'm not putting down the design. I'm saying it could be challenging if you're not making any sales, because someone's looking at this going, that could be hard to read if you buy a white shirt. It could also be hard to read if you have a black shirt. So it's like, yikes, what do I buy? I don't really want to wear a bright red shirt. Like, I'm not a clown, right? And I don't want to wear a bright blue shirt. People have their preferences, right? White and black are the most popular shirt colors. So if you're not making any sales, you may want to just change all the font to black or all the font to white, and then invert the little doggy so he's all white instead of black lines. Here's another one. It says, "We are all Ken Barons, proud Ken Barons." I want to be very clear. I have no judgment on any of the niches, any of the marketability, even the trademarks. I don't care for the purposes of this video. I'm only talking about graphic design and the readability of these fonts and how they look. So I don't know this niche. I don't even know this design, other than I noticed it's white font, and then it's yellow font, and then it's dark blue font. So it's this last piece that I have a problem with. If you back up from the computer screen of the phone and you look at this shirt from a distance, this could be pretty hard to read. You can read "We are all Ken Barons," and then you could read "proud," but this blue part is the problem. Now, if you were to buy a really light shirt, then the "proud" would be the problem. So either way, you're not in a good spot. So again, I'd recommend you either make this bottom piece with the hashtag white, or you make it all yellow, or you make it yellow and orange, something that's a bit lighter so that you could read it properly. The next one here are spelling errors, grammatical errors, and typos. So this happens quite a bit. And again, no judgment. Like, I'm lucky. I didn't choose where I was born. I just happened to be born in Canada. I happen to be an English speaker my whole life. But there's lots of people, and bless their souls, they're trying really hard to learn English, but it's a tough language to learn. So again, I want to point out there's no judgment on this. I'm just pointing out errors so that people can make better designs. So here's one that says, keep calm and drink coffee. And by the way, if you've seen these before and you're not familiar with these types of designs, what happens is they're taking like a poster, like a World War II vintage poster that says keep calm and carry on. And they're just saying keep calm and then whatever it is. It could be, in this case, coffee. Now, the problem with this design, and again, it's art, so if you disagree, it's totally okay, is they've got in the I, they've got a small I instead of drink coffee, all caps. And the reason I'm not a big fan of this is because the original poster has all capital fonts. So I would just caution monkeying with uppercase and lowercase letters in the same design. It's viscerally unpleasant for some people to see that. It looks unprofessional. I understand it's a coffee bean. They've put a little coffee bean there for the I, and some people might like it. I would just caution you, you don't want to be monkeying with up and down fonts like uppercase and lowercase. Or if you're really in love with this design, then consider just making another design, a variant with all capital letters. And that way you can sell both of them. Here's another one. It's not so much an error. It's just something to be aware of. So for example, this one here says hot mum, and mum is M-U-M. And in some parts of the world, a mom is M-O-M, and in some parts of the world, a mum is M-U-M. So it's just something to be aware of if you're, like for example, I'm in Canada, and so I use British spelling, not American spelling. So like the word color, for example, there's a couple other weird words that in the United States, it's different than in Canada. Neighbor is another one, for example. We use a lot of U's, like neighbor has a U in it. And so just be aware if you're making designs like this with the word mum or mom, just come up with variants that you've got hot mom, hot mum, whatever, the variants are. Here's another one where we've got the idea here. It says socialism, ideas so good they have to be mandatory. And I'm not a big fan of this design. Again, I have no judgment on the niche. I have no judgment on the idea. I'm just talking in terms of graphic design. The reason I don't care for this is because we've got socialism in all caps, ideas is capitalized, they is capitalized, and mandatory is capitalized. And it's like either capitalize all the letters or capitalize none of the letters, or just capitalize the first letter. It's a bit of a mishmash. And so for English snobs like myself, I tend to, it's like a put off when I look at the design and I just go, ugh, I wouldn't buy that. And the reason is because of the font. So again, it's no judgment on the artist. It's no judgment on the actual niche, but you'd want to try to get some sort of, the fonts need to be the same across the design if you want to increase your chances of making a sale. Here's another one, and I've actually been guilty of this myself. So let me see if, I'll read the quote here and see if you can pick out the problem. So it says here, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. And of course, this is by the great investor known as Warren Buffett. And that's right, the actual last name is misspelled. And in this case, it's B-U-F-F-E-T, but Warren Buffett is the name of the investor, and the last name is B-U-F-F-E-T-T. So someone out there didn't check the spelling, and I say this with all due respect. I've literally made this mistake. I've done quote posters for people, and if I'm not familiar with the person, I will misspell their last name sometimes. So you got to make sure to check that spelling. Good idea for a shirt, I guess. It's just you got to make sure that the actual person's name is spelled correctly. Here's just an easier way you can see it here. The last name is not Warren Buffet. It's Warren Buffett with 2 T's. You can see here, you could just type in the word into Google and it will come back with the actual person's name. He's like a big time investor. Okay, on this one, I wanted to point out sort of a tip here because I don't want to just be slamming designs for this entire video. So this is a little bit of a tip here. So when you're on Redbubble, and let's say, for example, you wanted to use the niche and it's the word achieve. So I've typed in the word achieve into the search window and I get back 14,974 results. Some people in the world misspell this word a lot. It's actually a commonly misspelled word. So if you're going to do tags, also do achieve with E-I-V-E. You'll notice now there's only 108 results. And somebody who's on Redbubble is going to type in the word achieve but misspell it. And then now you're only competing with 108 designs instead of 14,000 designs. Something to think about. So when you're doing your tags, make sure to put in misspellings of those tags too, and that'll increase your chance of, making a sale. Okay, the next one here is centering. This one's a real pet peeve of mine. Now, it's tough on Redbubble because there's like 80 products on Redbubble, and so you got to take the time to go through and make sure that your designs look good on every possible product. So here's an example, and I blame Redbubble more than any individual artist, but here you can see the coffee mug is sitting in the middle of the coffee mug design is sitting in the middle of the mug. So when you're making your coffee mug, you need to move that piece over to the left or over to the right so it shows on the side of the mug, unless this is your goal. And there's sometimes this is your goal. You want the end of the mug to have the design. I actually have a mug like this at home and it's okay. I probably, because I'm left-handed, I prefer to have it on the other side. So just be aware that centering on coffee mugs can be a real pain. You want to check your thumbnail and you want to check where it's located. Here's another one that's a really common sort of, I don't want to say it's a mistake again because it's art, but typically on a t-shirt, the actual phrase or a picture on a t-shirt would be up here. It would be a little bit up like above the nipples kind of thing. It wouldn't be down like on the belly button. And the reason it's down is because the person just created a template and stuck it centered vertically on the template. So if you're making a t-shirt, you'd want to make sure that this design is moved up a tiny bit so that it sits where like a normal t-shirt would be sitting. This is very, very common on Redbubble. Here's another one here. I was just going through romantic stickers and we can see this one over here on the right. It says, I enjoy romantic walks to the taco truck. I love this idea of the design. The problem here is that there's just too much white space. You can see here it looks like it's a huge sticker with tiny font. Now again, if that's the intention of the artist, I will stand down. You won't hear another peep from me about it. But if you're not making sales and you're wondering why, then you'll want to take a look at your designs and see, do I have a ton of white space? Because if somebody bought that as a sticker, they probably want I enjoy romantic walks to the taco truck and the heart to be the main idea of the sticker, not this white space on the top and white space on the bottom. Here's another one where we've got a relatively small design because it's again centered right in the middle of the t-shirt. It says tomorrow never comes, and we've got just massive white space up top and massive white space down below. Typically, the phrase would go up just in between the two armpits. That's where you try to get your design to sit right about there. Again, this is very common on Redbubble, so I don't want to just, hammer everybody with a bunch of examples, but you can just see here, like this took me all of 10 seconds to find these examples. Respect begets respect. And the only thing I don't like about this design is it's just down too low. You just move it up maybe one line and it would sit up a little bit higher. It's a very thin margin between buying a t-shirt and not buying a t-shirt. So I know some of these tips feel maybe a little bit picky, but if you've got like 1,400 in a niche, there's 1,399 other reasons that they're not going to buy your shirt. So you want to make sure you have the absolute best possible design. This one just makes my head shake. This is supposed to say, I'm with the Sexy Cat Burglar t-shirt, but they just didn't size it properly. So it says, I with T, Sexy T-Burgle. And it's like, unless you're, unless you really want to stand out from the crowd, I would not recommend, having a design like this, especially when the title says I'm with the, And it's like, this is probably the last piece of the M here. So you just want to make sure that your design, especially on a t-shirt, which is one of the primary products on Redbubble, you want to make sure that it's sized correctly. Okay, the next thing we're going to jump into here is the wrong fonts. So they're too big, they're too small, or they're just plain hard to read. So again, this is a personal preference. If you disagree, no hard feelings. But if you're wondering why you're not making sales, it may be because from far away, you can't read the darn shirt. So here's an example. Top left, it says socialist, and then it's impossible to read the font from more than 4 feet away. Now down below, we can see it says, a person who wants everything you have except your job. I'm not a big fan of having fonts that don't enhance the product. So for example, I'm just asking, why is the font for socialist hard to read paint? Unless you're doing a shirt about a painter or about painting or something, there's no reason to have a paint font. And then we've got script font underneath it. So everything about the text on this kind of rankles me. It's positioned in the middle instead of up top around the armpits. It's 2 different colors. It's 2 different types of font. We have a script font and we have just like a paint font. It's like everything is just a hodgepodge, right? So again, I don't want to come down on this, but if you're wondering why you're not making sales, you'd be better off just having a straight Times New Roman black and just stick it on a shirt, because it's the wittiness of the phrase that is going to drive this sales. No one is going to look at this and go, oh, I really want it, but I need it to be red paint. That's just probably not going to happen. Here's another one. If this is hard to read, you're not alone. It says, I enjoy romantic walks to the taco truck. And there's a couple hearts there. And it's just sitting top left on this massive sticker. And I say massive, I mean, it's all of, 7 by 7 centimeters kind of thing. So if you put it on a water bottle, good luck ever getting anyone to read it. Now, if you want it that way, great, no hard feelings. Maybe you want to write your name on there with a magic marker or something. But typically, someone is not going to pay $3 for a sticker that they can't read. The next one here is picture quality, and it can be tough. And I'm not going to be talking about pixelation of pictures, like making them fuzzy, although that is a problem on Redbubble. Obviously, you want to get the highest quality picture possible, but I've got a couple other ideas here as well. Here's one that I don't like. Now, I love cats, and I love the idea of this design. And this one says, I'm a cat person. Perfection is my game. And they've spelled perfection with the cat purring, which is amazing. The problem with this design is that there's no reason to have it in a black square. They could get rid of the black square. They've done everything correctly here. It's white font, and they've got black font with a white box around it. Wonderful. But why put it in a black box? Now, if you select any color, you're stuck with the black box. And that's not what you want. You want to have the black box gone so it's not detracting from the actual design. Here's another one where the picture itself is skewed. Now, again, if you're making this specifically for a person, and I've done this, I've had coworkers reach out to me or friends reach out to me and say, hey, can you make a picture and put my cat's picture on the shirt? Yeah, okay. So that might be what's happening here. Or it's so niche that it's like an irony shirt. Like hipsters will wear a shirt with a purposely bad graphic on it because it's like, hey, we're too cool to care kind of thing. That's fine. But I just like, why is this cat got crappy Photoshop around the ear and it just looks like it's been cut out with a pair of scissors and the font is just awful. So again, if that's the intention of this, if it's like an internet meme or something and you're trying to make it look not great, I totally, and I mean that sincerely, I totally respect that. Otherwise, you're better off getting an actual proper picture because this just looks awful. The next one is not original, so just copying it from Vexels. So here's just an example, and I'm using Vexels just as a random example. It could be any other third party that sells digital designs. So I'm on Vexels here, and we can see this is a very popular design idea. It says Catzilla. It's got some Asian lettering, helicopters, Capitol building. It says King of Poster, and it's got the black cat, and he's swiping at the helicopters, okay? If you go onto Redbubble and you type in Catzilla, you're going to get this exact same shirt. So the reason I don't like this, it's a brilliant design. I absolutely love the design. But the reason I don't like it is if 8 people upload it into Redbubble as is, 7 of them are going to get a copyright strike. Because the first person to upload it, they can claim that they uploaded it first. So I'd highly recommend changing the design in some way. Remove the king of posture. Put a new Catzilla logo. Maybe you put it on an arch, for example. Maybe you do the background, the red sun. Maybe you make it a different color. You change it somehow. They just took a design and just stuck it on Redbubble. Now, if you're selling this design on your own website, there's nothing wrong with that. But here we can see Redbubble, TeePublic, Etsy, and it goes on and on. This is a really popular design. So you'd want to make sure that you change it somehow. And that way you have the copyright. You've created a unique piece of art. And you should do that because you're an artist and you have a gift to give to the world, and that's your original art. So I do want to say thank you. I know this is a bit of a long video, but I've been getting a lot of requests for deep dives on why their artwork is not good enough to make sales. So I hope it's in that spirit that this is received. Please do like the video and consider, leaving a comment. I'd love to hear your opinions as well. Thank you so much for watching.